Tonight's episode.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache.
Tonight's episode. That was no lady.
Good evening. Looks like we got me out there watching, so nobody's out here tonight. But we're going to screen share here. We're going to devote 1/3 to 1/4 of the screen to live conversation. So if you are awake in the middle of the evening, middle of the night, when all the real work gets done, when the people that work the hardest are doing all the real work, then feel free to comment over here. You can use a keyboard. You can use the glass part of your mouse. Or wait, you can use the glass part of your phone. Or you could use your mouse, I guess, depending on what you got going on there. All right, so now I'm done clicking around stuff. What are we doing here? We are going to go live like we are known to do on Wednesdays, traditionally. All right, so now and we list every, whatever happens to be. And today it's going to be every Firearms book author. What? Yep. Right now. So we're editing this video, and there we go. A lot of people won't do this kind of thing live because they don't see the need for it or the gain. So that's why we do it. Because nobody else will do it. So let's see. We're going to use as an example, if I have it here. I have no idea what I've got over on. Here it is, Minuteman. 4 books. So we've got our industry, hobby, authors, books, and publishers. So I think we're going to go with authors tonight. So I got a few of them here. I don't think all of them are on YouTube because some of them are old. Now, I don't think I have everyone listed here. I have the ones that are focused more on 2A, for sure. So, let's see how we're going to do this. We'll open up the YouTubes over here. And we'll just type Whiteman Cat. See what happens. So, boom. Cat's YouTube channel. So 9 subscribers. Let's really talk about her book. Oops, I should have clicked on Gun Freedom right there.
Cheryl Todd here from Gun Freedom Radio. Coming at you from the 2019 SHOT Show in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. And speaking of fabulous, I am sitting next to the one, the only.
Well, it doesn't say that her book exists necessarily, but she's a writer with Truth About Guns. And she's got a book coming out on handgun hunting. So, first one was a win. Then we got Gabby Franco. I shouldn't have closed that many windows. We'll go back and open up the YouTube again. Oh, Gabby. Should I be doing it on that window? So, I guess it would have helped to link to Kat's channel, huh? Instead of just putting her name on there. So can I just go back and back and back? No. So forward. Oh, you know where I can go? I can go to my history. Thank you very much. And grab a name from here.
Catch Ainsworth. Thank you for taking a few minutes to sit down with me.
And now link to our channel. Not really someone linking to their channel if I'm not linking to their channel, right? Sort of the point of it. So Dr. Jennifer Carlson, I believe she's from Tucson. She wrote something about Second Amendment. Visionary faculty author talk, policing the Second Amendment.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our event here on Crowdcast. This is a Library and Labyrinth live stream event, an event where the library...
How about you don't link to your guest? Nice. Same thing here, no linking to the guest. So now let's go to filters and channel. Jennifer Carlson, there's a lot of Jennifer Carlsons. So guess what? I'm not spending all day. So next up is David Kodre. Wrote the book, The War on Guns. I don't know if this is him or not. Probably, but it doesn't look like he's using it as a channel for his book. So this is 10 years ago. Probably didn't have a YouTube channel 9 years ago, 5 years ago. All right, we're going to go with David Kodre. He doesn't have a YouTube channel. Years ago, 10 years ago. All right, so we're going to go to the next one, Crump. I think John Crump is a writer. And which one do we go with? Probably news, I guess. It's 12,000. Like I was doing these in the middle of the night, what happens is nobody shows up, participates. But Dan Wass, ever heard of that guy? He's on the Second Amendment Foundation show all the time. Let's see if he has his own channel. I would assume he does. Dan Wass. I'm going to go with the Loaded Mike, I guess. Good Guy, Bad Gun has 200 subscribers. He has like 5 channels. It looks like one of them has the most things. And Good Guy, Bad Gun is his channel, is his book. So I'm going to go with that one.
The Second Amendment is not up for debate, but they're anti...
265. And then what? We'll just put Dan Wass in there also. All right, Beth. So Beth writes for the USCCA. We're going to put her in here anyway. She got her own channel. Let's see if she's using it. Oh, I don't know if that's her channel. I'm not sure she's using that channel, so I don't think I'm going to put that in there. So, Yehuda, I don't know what channel he's using. Probably Pew Pew Jew. This is thrilling. That's why nobody watches this. So there's, no, he has his logo up, but then he uses the channel. So 124 subs. He's got quite a few books out there now. Alright, then you get Knox. So I'm going to put his brother, Chris Knox, up there. Okay, well, guess what? This is super boring. So we're going to go from Chris Knox's channel here to our subs. And somebody had to do something recently.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 346 of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by AZFirearmsAuctions.com, where you set the price on guns, ammo, and accessories. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd, and our theme today is Fate of the Future. And our guest today is Connor Boyack. Connor is the founder and president of Libertas Institute, a free market think tank in Utah. Named as one of Utah's most politically influential people by the Salt Lake Tribune, Connor's leadership has led to dozens of legislative victories spanning a wide range of areas such as privacy, government transparency, property rights, drug policy, education, personal freedom, and more. A public speaker and author of 30 books, Connor is best known for the Tuttle Twins books, a children's series introducing young readers to economic, political, and civic principles. Connor lives near Salt Lake City, Utah, with his wife and two homeschooled children. Welcome back to the show, Connor. Thanks for having me. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. And you know what? It's so funny about the word homeschool. It used to be something you'd hear once in a while. It was kind of like a neat idea that people would aspire to, but then real life sets in and you're like, okay, I'll just send them to public school. But it has become something you hear, I think, multiple times every single day right now. What do you attribute that to, and what caused you guys to be homeschoolers? Because you're ahead of the curve. You've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, we were doing it pre-COVID before it became cool to homeschool. Homeschooling across the country has tripled in the past year and a half. And there's been just this massive influx of people, parents, who are choosing this alternative approach to educating their kids. It started for me, I'm a product of public school. I went to public school my whole life, went to college, didn't know any better. And among other things, I was exposed to the writings of John Taylor Gatto. Gatto was a G-A-T-T-O. He was a 30-year teacher in New York State. 1 year, he was awarded the New York City Teacher of the Year. I believe it was the following year, if not soon thereafter, he won New York State Teacher of the Year. In the very year that he received that award, he wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal titled, "I Quit, I Think," in which he goes on to explain how for 3 decades he had been trying to work within the system, but felt at the end of his career that he had been hurting children more than he had been helping. Not because of his own efforts, he was trying to really help these kids succeed and thrive and so forth.
The Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition and A Girl and a Gun Women's Shooting League presents the first ever Realize Concealed Carry Fashion Show.
Their initiative and suppresses them into a homogenous standard that someone else has decided for them. So try as he might to inspire children and get them to be curious and passionate about what they're learning about, etc. Failed and quit.
So hello everyone, before we begin I want to address the cameras in the room. So as you know, Focus HR recently hired us to do an ad campaign for that.
So I read one of his books called Dumbing Us Down, and it resonated so deeply because as he articulated all the problems from his perspective of the public school system and the process and the structure, it like just resonated so deeply with like, yeah, that's why I didn't like that, and yeah, that's why I struggled there. And so I was engaged at the time, and so to my fiance, I gave the book, I was like, what do you think about this? And it clicked with both of us to the point where we said, we want nothing to do with that. She also went to public school, she saw the same problems. And so we decided from the outset to homeschool our kids, and it's been a tremendous blessing.
I think that's why the increase in homeschool is because people are home now. The parents are learning that the kids are not learning anything in school that's important. So that's
yeah, I mean, you have many parents who are seeing through Zoom what their kids are learning, and they're like, really? It's that kind of stuff. And then you've also got this issue which relates, which is that you have kids at home, or last year especially at home, and it's like, Dad, I got done in an hour and a half what takes me 6-7 hours sitting in class. So then the parents are like, wait, why are my kids sitting in those classrooms if they can get the work done that much more quickly and then do whatever they want or do other things? And so combination of reasons, then you have critical race theory and you have all these things bubbling up that have led parents to really realize that, hey, wait a minute, like there are alternative opportunities and we can choose different things if needed.
Well, every tool we can get to help with that is so valuable because during the lockdown, our oldest granddaughter, she was 6 at the time, she's 7 now, because of my work schedule is the most flexible of any of us, it felt to me to be the big time air quotes homeschooler. And I realized that I lacked in a lot of ways. But there are so many tools out there, and you guys have just offered another tool to people, an educational magazine you've got. Is it actually out yet, or is it soon to come?
So our first edition comes out for October 1st, so here just in a couple days by the time we're releasing this episode. And what we actually did is we created a special edition, issue number 0, that we sent out to, I think, about 140,000 people who had previously bought our books to say, hey guys, we're doing this new product. Here's a free example. Sign up to get more. This is all at TuttleTwins.com/magazine. And for us, it's a way to reach kids on a more ongoing basis. They read our books, they like our books, they do the curriculum, the activities, whatever. This is like when I was growing up, I had Boys Life and was it Highlights, I think. Like so many of these things have gone woke and weird and everything, and parents don't really want those anymore. And so this is a trusted brand, important content that parents can get for their kids to get in the mail every single month. So we're just at the cusp of launching.
And what's the name of it?
So it's called the Tuttle Times, it's Tuttle Times monthly magazine for kids.
Fantastic. I'm excited. I'm going to be getting that. I bought a bunch of the Tuttle Twins books for my granddaughter, and we enjoy reading them together. And so to have kind of that regular thing coming in the mail, I think will be fun and exciting for both of us, really. I do remember, getting those subscription magazines. I think it was like Highlights or something when I was young. And it was almost exciting. Oh, that's mail for me, right? It's like I'm a kid and I got mail for me.
So were you nervous when you first started, thinking about homeschooling your kids? Because I wouldn't even know the first step. How to make sure that my kids are getting a real value. How do you do that?
That's a really important question because many parents feel exactly that way, and it stems from a big misunderstanding of these parents about what homeschooling is. Many parents, when they decide to homeschool, feel like they need to be the knower of all the things. They need to be the teacher of all the things. I need to be the science teacher, and the math teacher, and the English teacher. I feel inadequate, and therefore now I feel stressed because I don't remember these things from school very well. So how in the world am I going to teach them to my child? Those expectations create conflict, create a big problem as parents. I wrote a book a few years ago called Passion-Driven Education, and it lays out, and John Taylor Gatto, who I mentioned earlier, actually wrote the foreword for that book, which was a deep honor for me since he was such an influence. In that book, I lay out how homeschooling really works, or should work, in my view, and that is, hey mom, hey dad, you don't need to be the knower of all the things. You are instead a resource provider. Here's what I mean by that. In modern school and in many homeschools, kids are on a conveyor belt, right? And they're stamped a certain way, and they're modified a certain way, and they're shaped, and they're, and you go from one age to the next, and every kid is treated the same, like they're in a factory, right? Here's the curriculum. You must learn this at this age in this way as you move on to the next thing. It's a very industrial model of education. True education is more based, especially for younger children, is more based around the ideas of agriculture than industry. Now, I'm a gardener, but I can take like zero credit for anything that happens in my garden. Why? Because I'm just a resource provider. I bring the soil, I bring the water, God provides the sun, I sit back and I watch. And those plants are pre-programmed to do whatever it is that you're going to do. Maybe I'll pluck some weeds or do a little fertilizer here and there, but I have a very minimal role in simply bringing resources together to let nature work its magic. It's the same way with educating kids. Rather than putting them on a conveyor belt and saying, you must do all these things at this time, we need to recognize that our kids are pre-programmed, and they have passions and interests and curiosities and, frankly, even a purpose in life, I feel like, where all we need to do as parents is bring resources together. Hey, what are you interested in? Hey, cool, let's do this field trip, or let's do this online course, or let's go to the library and get books about that, or let's watch this documentary. It's wherever the kid is going in their life, and you kind of paying attention to that. It's bringing resources together to let the innate nature of the child take over and really drive all of this deep desire in learning. And that's critical because how many of us go through school and we're forced to learn information, and it's pump and dump, right? We pump it in our heads, and we dump it out after the test is over. And we ask the teacher, when will I ever need to know that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell? And you need to know it someday, pipe down. But we never do. Contrast that against you and I as adults. Anytime we need to know something, if I need to learn how to edit a video, I go watch videos about that, or I take a course about that, or I read articles about that. And I remember that information because it is deeply meaningful to something I need or want to learn how to do. So it's the same way with our children. And in passion-driven education, I talk about how parents can do this in a way that it excites kids to learn and it's not a huge burden on parents. Because again, you no longer the knower of all the things. It's simply like, hey mom, can you Google? Right?
Yeah.
If you Google, chances are you can find your child the resources they're going to need to learn about whatever it is they want to learn about.
Connor, I don't think I could have got a better example of how that's going. That's awesome. And as kids, they were forcing us to be what they wanted us to be. And so we really couldn't breathe and branch out. We were kind of stuck into one thing. So making kids research and learn, then they'll find that thing they like and pursue it, probably more willing because they're not forced.
Yeah.
Innovation and, rebels, for lack of a better word, that created the nation that we enjoy. So, why try to...
We're all homeschooled.
Yeah, they were all homeschooled. I love it.
The thing that irritates me, the things that I learned that I didn't need, I learned a lot that I didn't need to learn, but the things I needed to learn, I didn't.
Right.
So, it's amazing.
So our children, are our future, right? And so I think starting with this topic of, how to properly prepare them through the things and the ways that they learn is an important starting point. But I borrowed the title of your book for our theme today, Fate of the Future, one of your great Kettle Twins books. This is a big question. What is the fate of our future, Connor?
I think had you asked anyone that, a few years ago, no one would have ever predicted how crazy things are now. And so I think that's why resiliency and being able to adapt and be flexible is so critical, especially for kids. But what is the fate of the future? In that book, we give a little taste of it. In my mind, it's this question of how do we resolve conflict? Because there's always disagreement. Should I get vaccinated or should I not? Should I, as a business owner, be able to let whoever I want come in or not? Should I be able to travel? All these different things. And there are people who disagree, but how do we resolve that conflict? How do we disagree? Is it through top-down command and control decisions so that one man, President Biden, can issue an executive order and dictate to all these businesses that if you have an arbitrary number of employees or more, then you have to get vaccinated and so forth? Should one person have that power and force it on the rest? To ask that further, should power be so centralized, right, up to the top levels of our government that those types of decisions can be made? Or conversely, should power be decentralized and pulled down from that apex of power so that individuals and families and communities can make whatever decisions are right for them? And that there's a tolerance for people who disagree, kind of a live and let live approach, a laissez-faire approach, right? You do you. We've moved away from that in America into this Karen, is the nickname, this Karen approach where we're shaming one another for being insufficiently, compliant with what the emissaries from on high have, told us is the right thing to do. And people have become, especially fueled by social media, very comfortable in shaming one another and pointing out and calling out one another versus this kind of, I'm going to do what's right for me, you figure out you, and we'll have this mutual respect. The respect is kind of gone, and it needs to be brought back. The fate of the future is, if we continue to centralize power at the top, we know how this goes from history. When you concentrate power, it'll be a big fight over who gets to have that power and then use it to oppress those who disagree with them. We look at the founding of our country. The real genius of it was the decentralization of power and having an intentionally weak government. So that's the fate. Do we want to have more freedom like we had in the early years of America, or do we want to slide into authoritarianism like every other country in the history of the world and lose the uniqueness of what the American experiment was?
Well, there are two illustrations. There's a bunch of illustrations in your book that I love. But this one here shows, so we've got a coercive gang. I think people can see that. right? We got these kind of, street thug kind of guys, and, the paper says demands or else, right? And then there's the state. Oh, they're just such friendly looking people, right? But then it says taxes or else. And there really is a coordination there between the two. And then it's kind of summed up on this page that there's a difference between persuading people, right? And then coercion of people. So this one says, please buy my stuff, please volunteer, please donate. This is buy my stuff or else, volunteer or else, donate or else. And I think we are way too seated right here in that place of coercion and mob mentality and, like you say, the weight of the Karens. I feel so bad for my friends, my personal friends who are named Karen. It's like, those Karens, not you, but the other Karens, and I don't know how we got so far from the live and let live principle that is what I was raised on. It's me and 3 brothers when I was quite young, and then when I was older, now there's 7 of us kids in the family, and it was, keep your hands to yourself, keep your nose in your own business, and that's how we kept peace in the household, and it worked. And now it's very codependent. It's very, I'm unhappy with my life, so I'm going to try to impose myself in your life. What's the road back? Any idea?
Yeah, that's tough. It's this contrast between civil society and an uncivil society. Again, that tolerance for others versus this expectation that my way or the highway. And those who have the ring of power typically don't want to relinquish the ring of power. So this is an important question. How do we restore that idea of tolerance, permissiveness, respect? I don't know. This is something that I struggle with. I see it deteriorate. We see throughout human history how it deteriorates. I don't really know of many good ways to bring it back except for one. In war, governments have to grapple with this idea of how to get soldiers to kill other people. How do you get a human to kill another human? And that's a tough thing to do. A lot of soldiers struggle with it, especially you see the PTSD rates and suicides and military enemies. The way that you get a human to kill another human is rather easy. You dehumanize the enemy, right? You have to get the soldier or whoever to see the other person as subhuman. When the torture in Abu Ghraib and Guantanamo Bay blew up years ago, one soldier came out and said, well, we were just told they were enemy combatants, scum of the earth. Like if people had told us they were other soldiers, we probably would have treated them much differently. But they engaged in this barbarism because they were told that these people were vermin. The Nazis exterminating the Jews, if you go back and look at all the systematic efforts that were used, you can put them all under the category of dehumanization, putting them in cattle cars, putting them in ghettos, making them wear different identities. In the gas chambers, what gas did they use on the Jews? It was a pesticide. They used a pesticide on the Jews, reinforcing this idea that these are just pests, these are vermin to be extinguished. So in fact, the Japanese were being pressured by the Nazis to similarly treat the Jews and exterminate the Jews and so forth. And there was this one fated meeting where a Jewish clergy, I don't know the terminology very well, but one Jewish leader communicated with or had a meeting with this high-ranking Japanese official. And the thing that shifted the whole Japanese mindset away from the German mindset as it pertained to the Jews was that individual, that Jewish individual, said, we are Asians like you. And obviously a different part of Asia and whatnot, but that humanization of Jewish people led the Japanese to see them much different. So anyways, the point is, dehumanization is how we can violate other people's rights so easily. They're not like us, they're worse, they're, whatever. And so what's the antidote to that? I think it's efforts to humanize other people. It's like, look, I may not get vaccinated with COVID, but that doesn't mean I'm trying to kill your grandma. I want you to see, me for who I am and some of the tough decisions I'm making and what I'm going through in my life. And the more that we can create empathy and help people see our humanity, even though we radically differ from them. It's so easy to talk like superficial talking points and butt heads and you're awful, go Trump, or whatever people want to say. But if we can share stories about our lives and help people emotionally connect, I feel like that can help. I don't know if it's the solution, but I think it's a solution, because when other people see us as humans like them, they're going to have more respect for us.
Well, I see that one thing that can help us is that people are starting to realize what's going on. I mean, a lot of people are waking up to all this. But the thing is that the government is still, they are pounding on us. The people that don't look the way I see it, they do all of that. Because there are people that do that, but I do feel like we can open up the way.
Solution, but it's a good start. It's an excellent start. So just kind of expounding on these ideas, politicians at every level are overstepping anything that our founding documents
Somebody out there now?
allow them to do with their limited power. And every day it seems like there are several new insults to our freedoms. Often, like, we know something's not right about that.
Almost
We don't
fell asleep.
know exactly what it is, and I think a lot of that has to do with
Where were we?
education. How much time did our families spend talking about
Let's drink some of this
our founding
coffee right
documents
here.
and freedoms and how important they are? But you have a podcast, I love what it's titled, The Way the World Works, that offers us bite-sized wisdoms to help us keep up. And, you recently, there were so many, but what were some of your most popular episodes that seemed to really resonating with people?
So our intention behind our podcast is, mom is running errands with her kids in the back. She's got 15 minutes. Let's keep the kids busy. Let's have some edifying thing. Give something for us to talk about as we then go to the grocery store aisle together or something. Or we're taking the kids to school and we got a little bit of a drive. We want these little nuggets rather than this hour. So all of our episodes are about 15 minutes long. And it's been fun because this, to your question, especially the episodes where we talk about something with history, that those episodes are very popular because struggle to break down big, complex historical events into something bite-sized where their kids can understand it or understand just a piece of it. And so those have been very helpful, I think, to a lot of parents to just say, let's just talk about this piece, or let's plant a seed here and go look for YouTube video or watch a documentary or something about more. So the historical ones, I think, are important, and that I think is been very informative for us, because what we're seeing over and over again from all the families that read intelligence books is this recognition that there's very little good history material accessible to kids to help them understand what that is. And so we're actually working on some new material along these lines to respond to that, because it's a kind of a widespread feeling that a lot of parents seem to have.
Wow, that is phenomenal. And I find myself, I've got 3 tabs open. So I'm like, I don't want to forget to listen to this one. I got to finish this one. And then, something comes on the news and gets my attention. So I love how you've structured them. Among the things that seem to be under attack these days is our financial system. There's this push for a cashless society, which I think is an absolutely horrible idea. Inflation is already gobbling up the value of our US dollar. Crypto, it's a murky, I don't get it. My son-in-law is all into it, but I'm trying to understand it, but it feels too much like that push towards cashless. I just don't quite understand all of it. but your newsletter that you send out recently mentioned the...
Good afternoon. Thanks for the $4. We use 3 of those for paying off bills. Thank you very much. Do you have any authors that you can think of that might have a YouTube channel?
Alright, ready to go. Ready? I'm many things. I shoot for the U.S. Army Marksmanship Unit and came into the Army as an MP. Hi, I'm Julie Golob. I'm a veteran, a competitive shooting sports champion, a hunter, and a mom.
Hi, I'm Julie Golob. I'm taking over this week as your host for Impossible Shots from inside the Smith & Wesson factory.
Thanks for that. So I'm trying to figure out, all the different authors. Doesn't look like she links to very many of them. Maybe NSSF does. Oh, they don't care about community. Oh, about Mexico. That's about it. So I went live because I figure out, this is when I can sneak some stuff in here. Plus, overnight gets shafted often. Nobody pays attention to the folks that are up overnight. Oh, so Larry Vickers, that's a good one. He's got his own channel.
Okay, we're out here, day 2 of our 8-point Acro P1 torture test. I have a new 8-point Acro mounted on my pistol.
Too bad he turned into an industry show. Let's see. Gun books, good reads. Paul Barrett, Chris Kyle. Oh, it's Chris Kyle. YouTube channel. Probably not corking anybody. Doesn't look like anybody kept picture. So Adam Winkler. Kind of anybody I can think of.
Anniversary of
Nobody really showed up to chat tonight, though.
Something he did called the New Economic Policy. What was so significant 50 years ago, a half a century ago, that is impacting us today in that realm?
That event is effectively when the United States finally got off the gold standard. Previously, countries could exchange gold at a very fair or low rate. And so a lot of gold was leaving the United States, and people, as the dollar continued to run into problems, it made gold even more enticing. But President Nixon and his buddies didn't like that the dollar was being treated so poorly, effectively, that people were wanting to get rid of their dollars. And so he basically disconnected gold from the dollar and shut off the.
Here's my video showing up in the list
which
of
allowed
firearms
gold to
authors.
basically, rise with the market rate and basically divorced the United States government from any type of fixed gold standard. The modern implications of that were, if you look at any chart for federal spending, the value of the dollar, anything that's dollar denominated, the past half a century, it's just massively exploded. Why? Because no longer did the United States really have to have any gold reserves to back up what they were doing, which would restrain their creation of new dollars and their spending of dollars. Now it was just funny money. Ever since then, it's just, sky is the limit. Let's print whatever we need, especially with things being digital. The Federal Reserve can just, with the stroke of a button, say that there is now more money in circulation. Blink, and it's all digital.
Gun writers,
cashless
Wikipedia.
Society is a problem. I'm a big
Ragnar
fan
Benson,
of
that would be
blockchain
cool.
Crypto,
I don't think that
specifically
guy's
for
got
its
a
ability to decentralize
YouTube
a
channel.
lot of technological opportunity to tear down power from the financial structures and all the corruption. But it's critical that we retain the ability to transact anonymously. And the government, of course, wants its hands on everything. As we speak, there's a congressional proposal that the Biden administration is pushing
These are a pretty shitty list of gun writers.
government, increase the ability of the government to sue on your bank accounts. Right now, it's if you're moving $10,000 and up, they want to lower it to $600, which is insane. And it would just, what's interesting about that is you talk to any banker, anyone in the government that deals with the SARS report,
here we go.
They're called the 10,000. Like, if I send you $10,000 right now, it'll trigger a SARS report. It'll sit on some bureaucrat's desk. Nothing happens. There's a mountain of them. They do nothing to inform anyone. It just creates massive paperwork waste. And so you talk to anyone involved in that, and they'll be like, "Are you kidding me? Like, it's not even useful to do it at 10,000. Why would we just scoop in all the rest?" Point is, it creates financial surveillance for the government to increasingly be aware of all of our financial transactions. Moving cash basically is giving the government more ability to know all of our economic transactions and activities that we personally take, which is a big problem.
I'm really scared of the money thing. I mean, other countries have just got rid of their money. They change it. And they say you have so many days to turn it in, so you can't have money for you, right? And, yeah, this is scary. At $600, they couldn't create enough man hours to track that. No way.
It should definitely raise all of our eyebrows as to what's the ultimate purpose of it, since they can't really keep on top of it and track it.
It's not so they can pinpoint somebody.
Yeah, unlike, they're probably going to say if you have any more than 600 in your account, thank you, the rest of that belongs to us. I think that's my own personal theory. But, it's so hard to figure out, Dan and I are moving into the years of our life that we should be able to start retiring, whatever that looks like when you're self-employed. But, the idea of how do we protect what we worked for? Where do we put it that it's safe, that it's not going to be taxed to death, on and on, is really hard to decide. And there was a time in history.
Let's try going to from authors.
When it was actually made illegal by the federal government.
To
own gold.
They had to be on jewelry to get out of it.
Like, how do people go along with that craziness, right? But they could do it again.
Yeah, we're not the only country that did that.
Publishers.
During World War II.
So,
they banned gold.
I guess I'm going to have to figure out this crypto blockchain stuff and listen to myself.
Well, they're on that too. They're on that everywhere.
It's like, if I can't touch it, do I really own it? No. But the stock market works, I guess.
They are so irritated that people have money, that some people have money, and they're irritated that they can't get to it. That they're going to find a way to get to it. It's the way it is.
Well, money is control and it's power, and these new innovations threaten to disrupt the status quo, which many people have neatly tied up in their favor and tried to very carefully protect. And So anything that disrupts that status quo is seen as a threat. Threats have been squashed. But what I like about crypto is that basically no country can ban it. I mean, there's nothing to confiscate, right? And so other countries have been upset, and they try and, like China kicked out all the miners, which is all the computers that were doing the calculations. But Bitcoin's doing just fine without China. It's a worldwide, standard, and all those miners just went elsewhere, and everything moved on, even though China's left out from fighting these people. So there's a lot of opportunity. The thing I always feel bad for people for is, like, they like cash, but our cash is being massively devalued, right? If you're not investing your money, you're losing money, because the inflation rate is outpacing any savings rate that you exist in. You basically no more savings rate.
Today we're going to do something I really like.
Negative savings rate. Sort of punch your first book. People take money. The negative savings rate is insane. They'll literally take money. Suddenly, so it basically forces people to go invest. Maybe go into hedges like gold and silver and try and preserve your wealth. But to grow it, you have to go invest, which leads to these massive bubbles in the market because everyone's throwing their money in there trying to make more money.
And now they want to tax it. They want to tax your gains even if you don't take the money out.
Well,
there's a lot of proposals to tax even more of the capital gains and add even more barriers to it. So clearly the government wants its piece and they want to control people. None of this is new. I mean, this has happened for a long time, just in gold and forms of money. It's just something that I think we need to be aware of and push back against.
Well, this next question, it just makes me kind of smile and giggle a little bit every time I think about it. This socialist magazine titled Current Affairs, they take issue with you, sir, and your children's books. And so they were writing a scathing article, an expose, wouldn't you have? And instead of their article in any way harming the truth of the books that you put out, I think it actually helped sell.
None of the publishers.
And it tells us also that about your book called How to Not Suck at Life, which is your new teen book. And so I was like, well, doesn't that take us right back around to socialism, right? How to not suck at life. Maybe don't be a socialist. I don't know. Is that in your book anywhere?
Basically, yeah. This new book just came out. It's not a Tell Twins book. It's just one of my other independent books. And born of this idea that I hear from so many parents who are struggling with their kids following these influencers that are just idiots and, supporting socialist ideas and everything. So I wanted to create a resource where it's like, look, you're really serious about wanting to be a competent, successful adult. Here's some ideas to pay attention to while you're in your teens. On the day we're recording this video together, we actually launched the book today, and Amazon already sold out of the many thousands of books that we sent them. So we're furiously trying to get them more copies so that we can bring and get those over. And so your other question about the magazine that wrote up about us, it's funny, right? Because many people would be upset that, like, we're being attacked, and oh no, they said something mean about our books. But no, like, we shared that article with our whole community, our whole email list. Guys, look what they're saying about us. If you don't like what those socialists are saying, come get our books. Show them who's boss. Get the Tell Twins books. And we sold over 10,000 books in 24 hours. And so I have those guys on Facebook, the socialist magazine, like, this is like 6 months later or something, like, hey guys, I'd really love to sell a lot more books. Would you be interested in doing another hit piece against us? They still haven't, but
that is fantastic. I just love it when stuff boomerangs back like that, and I think that's awesome. Well, I could keep talking to you all day. There's so many things that you talk about through all your different products and all your different works that are so important, and I really encourage everybody to follow you and check you out. Are you trying to say something?
How Not to Suck at Life. Is there a chance you could send those to every politician that's out there? Maybe give them an autographed copy or something?
Great idea.
Because a lot of them need some help. There's a couple that okay, but
yeah, I love that idea. We just had Constitution Day, and I did a quick little side podcast, and I said, we should actually send Constitution to all of our representatives and call it your oath reminder day, right? Because they all take the oath to protect the Constitution. Never even heard of a Constitution.
I put my head on what?
Connor, please tell folks how they can follow all the work you're doing and eye up all of your amazing books.
Well, thank you. What many of your listeners may not know, if they already know about us at Teletoons, is now we have books for toddlers, we have books for teenagers, we're coming out with a cartoon, certainly the magazine, which you mentioned, so there's a lot of stuff you can find all at TuttleTwins.com. Hit that products link, you will see all of the stuff that we have. Reach out to us that way all across social media. Just look up the Tuttle Twins. We're trying to reach as many people as we can. So, of course, we always love everyone's help and sharing the link and our social media stuff with their friends and reaching even more families, because we've got to help educate more kids and help them understand what's really going on in the world if we want to fight back and preserve our freedom. So thanks for giving me your platform and the opportunity to spread the word a little more.
Absolutely. We're definitely going to have you back on again. And until next time, we will all be thinking about the fate of the future. Thank you so much.
You.
Thanks, Tom.
Bye-bye.
Wow. How to not...
What a busy guy.
How to not...
I know, I love that title. Today, as we're in the studio, it is Monday, September 20th of 2021. Connor said they launched Not Second Life. It's sold out, but by the time that we publish this episode, on what day are we publishing this? The 29th of September, I bet they'll have more books out there. So be sure to look for those, right? Wow, what a awesome interview.
And that's when we have the interviews like this, that's what gives me the hope that things will change.
There are some people out there with their finger on the pulse of what is going on, what's wrong, and giving us valuable, tangible, usable information. And anything that helps us educate the next generations. I am all about that.
And this thing about homeschooling, what is the main goal in learning? If they could have taught me one thing in school, the thing that I wish that they would have taught me is how to research stuff, how to find the answer. Not teach you the answers, but how you can find the answers. And if we could just teach our kids that, then a kid could learn to change a light bulb, and a kid could learn to use a screwdriver and how to find a recipe or to make or whatever, and they just didn't teach us that. Did they teach you to do a checkbook in school?
So I graduated high school in 1984, and so things weren't completely off the rails crazy by that time. Very shortly thereafter, I think things got, more about culture and less about actual learning. But in high school, I did take a class that we learned how to balance a checkbook, how to search and this paper. No, it was actual paper, and there were want ads in there, and people would post jobs. I'm like dating myself, right? Does that even happen anymore? Now it would probably be like Indeed or something like that, and that's a whole different skill. But when you have to go into the paper and find an actual job that would actually be qualified for, right? And then we'd have to say, well, how much does that pay? And then we'd have to find an actual place to live that was listed somewhere in a news journal or a real estate magazine or something in our area. Make a budget for food, make a budget for clothes. We did do that in school. So it wasn't all I needed, but it was something. And now, like with Dave Ramsey, I know you've got whole curriculum that I wish could be in school.
Any books about firearms rights during wartime, how the return of soldiers might affect it?
What Dave Ramsey stands for.
No?
But let me say this.
I don't know of any.
In my homeschooling. I got the basics.
Something about
but it was sort of like
the Battle of Athens. I don't know if any book's been written about
spit
that.
it back out so that they can check their list and go, okay, this one listened enough to know this, right, or to be able to repeat this. And I went to college. I have my master's degree now. I've had it for 3-4 years, something like that. I went to school very, very slowly over the course of many, many years. Being self-employed and a mom and all of that, it took me a long time. But during college is when I learned how to learn, right? And I wish that there was more of that, learning how to learn in the younger ages. And I feel like God keeps bringing this word homeschooling into our presence and people in our pathway that are doing it successfully, have done it successfully. So I'm feeling that pressure, and I'm like, I just keep telling it to us.
Well, like you said, like Connor said, okay, so homeschooling is not an 8-hour day. It's not even a 5-hour day. It's directing your kids, letting them do the work, and then checking the work out.
I don't know if any of these people are all actually alive or not.
At a classroom, as a teacher, for 5-6 hours.
I'm just checking some of these authors to see if they happen to have YouTube channels.
Well, the other day I was thinking, we have
Not that many of them.
2-year-old granddaughter, and have like learning a language. Like, there's languages out there that I would like to learn, and I just, for whatever reason, I don't put any time into them. And I'm like, well, kids, they learned one of the hardest languages. We all did. We all learned one of the hardest languages there is, English.
And guess
even
what?
At the age of 2, she understands nuance and humor and serious and different ways to use the same word. And how did she do that?
She learned from her sister and us.
Right, just by interacting.
And the thing is,
it wasn't this formalized, it was repeat back the verbs to us. It
was harder for Raylan to learn because she didn't have the help from another one her age all the time. So the younger one is learning quicker because she's seeing the experiences that the older one is going through. And so if parents would do that at home,
it's true. Kids can learn from each other very informally. But yeah, so that's very striking when you think, how do we learn? We learn just by experience.
The one thing that I think that schools give us value that doesn't homeschooling is social. Because all we're doing now is doing it by phone and doing it by TV, the Zoom.
And you know what? I agree, but I also have talked to enough people now that there are homeschooling groups, right? So the kids still get to make friends and do projects together and things like that. So I really think that this is the wave of the future for them. It's not really far away because people are going to be very distant.
Well, when you find out that your kids are learning about all the things that practice, they've been feeding this to the school slowly.
All right. Well, what a fun interview. That was great. I love having Connor on. We're definitely going to have him back on again. They'll probably have like 90 more books written by the time I get him on. But if you would like to watch or share this video with a friend or watch any of the videos that we've ever made, please go to YouTube, or you can go to GunStreamer or the smartphone app called OxLens, and all of our episodes are there since the time that we've been doing video. We started as a radio show, so there's a lot of years that don't appear there yet, and because of that, we don't have like a huge following just yet on hardly our YouTube or our GunStreamer, but you can help out with that by raising your finger and clicking the subscribe and the notifications button, and that way you stay on top of when we just now freshly published our latest episode. Also, if you like just listening to the audio-only version, that's helpful if you're out, having a bike ride, taking a walk, taking a drive. then go to our website. Waiting in line to vote. Boy, it's going to blink and it's going to be time to vote again, right? Go to our website, gunfreedomradio.com, click the On Demand tab, and binge listen to your heart's content. All of the episodes we have there, darling. And if you'd like to look at photos and links and bios of all the guests we've ever had on, go to that.
All right, we're calling that the list. Bam. I don't know how many that is. Let's go count them.
What are we going to do until next time, baby?
Well, it took just about an hour, too, so that's about, I fell asleep for a moment there in the middle because it's super boring. No one showed up, really. So thanks to Gun Library Garrett for the $14. I'll definitely use that. That pays for all the fees off of this one, so I'll be using that $10 for bills. Thank you very much. And as far as I can tell, you were the only human being that was out there this evening, so thanks for showing up, being part of the show. Let's see, so our goal was to go live on a Wednesday and to record all of the list, in this case, firearms authors that are on YouTube that we know of, and got a lot of them here. We're going to count them. So we got Paxton Quigley, Armed and Female, The GunDigest with some guy, some author. And then you got Kat Ainsworth, you got Stephen Halbrook. Let me count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 25 of them-ish. Boom. The kind I had cost $1,000 and it isn't worth it. It's not worth $1,000, I don't think. Boom. So there we go. That was 25 of the firearms authors that are on the YouTube. Mainly just so that we have that list now. So people, if they're interested, they can go around and look at them. Maybe support some of them on Patreon, read some of their books. And yeah, why not? Let's do this each Wednesday. If you got an idea of something we can list every one of, we'll do it. And now we go around saying that we've done it. No one else even bothered to attempt to do it, but we just did it because we had nothing else to do on a Wednesday evening. And you can be part of this. Now we go around saying that we've done. Oops, you can be part of this by showing up. Oh, look, there was a cup of coffee over here. Thank you very much. I'll drink some coffee while I'm looking at that one. Ironically, I ate an avocado earlier today also. So I'm guessing this one is an avocado showing off his cup of coffee. And this other one is some other avocado trying to fly away and not get ate. But guess what? That avocado is going to get ate also. So thanks again for showing up, watching and listening. We'll be back to pick you up later. You can now sit back down. This one.
So let us know what you think. We'll be watching the comments wherever you find the video, over on gunstreamer.com or on guntube.org.
Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourages you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching gunwebsites.com.